This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by RE/MAX Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. RE/MAX Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call RE/MAX Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Friends, it is our final guest episode for 2022, and why not have one of our favorites, the premier favorite, if you will, Adam Ross, back on the show with us tonight. And we've got a Bun Son back as well. Not so little Owen anymore is back on the show with us. Adam and Owen, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I was going to go first.
Shake some rust off here.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always fun.
Yeah. We've seen your name and your son collar on the Valhalla Mobiles entry list for the Resi 500 iRacing tournaments. Do you enjoy iRacing?
I used to. Then we went out yesterday and did some racing with Valhalla, and I was terrible. So I need some practice.
What type of car?
Is it? Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
What type of car were you racing? Dirt?
Yeah. So the way TJ does it, you run, and I don't know if he announces the tracks ahead of time. I don't pay much attention. Connor, we were there for Connor. He had a shot to win, so I was just along for the ride. As it turned out, we were super late models at Eldora, midgets at the Chili Bowl, and 410 sprint cars at Lincoln Speedway. So it's bracket racing. It's all one-on-one, and you win and lose throughout the day.
Yeah, TJ's got a sweet little setup there with his tournament style and everything. He was good enough to let Owen try it too, eh?
Yeah, it was super fun. I got to do a Cup Series car on Eldora, and I won in the division that I was in. I won $25 from TJ.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's gone out. He's found some sponsors, which is really cool. And you know what? Watching what he's doing kind of reminds me of what you guys built, because he's 100% passion and motivation and energy, and he's still figuring out how to best put it to use. But he ran a good event. He's going to have another one in January, so I'll be out there to support it.
It's funny how you said that, Adam, because when we were at the NASCAR week out of Sweeken this summer, we spent a bit of time with TJ, met him, and got to talking with him, and I felt that kind of kinship with him, where like he's building something basically from square one, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and put in the long hours and turn nothing into something, and it's such a gratifying thing to do, and you can relate to a bit of that too.
For sure. And it doesn't take very long to realize who's in it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? It's kind of a vibe that a person puts off. And, you know, I don't begrudge anyone who's out to make a dollar, whether it's the ice cream truck or a souvenir stand. But I'm always drawn to the people who are happy to be somewhere and happy to be a part of something. To me, it just makes a difference.
It truly shows.
Yeah. So what was your favorite moment of the 2022 season?
Oh, that was my question.
That's a big question too.
A
lot of racing.
This is terrible, guys. I don't have one.
That's not a bad answer.
Interview over.
Right? Partly because probably I have a terrible memory, but there are so many moments that were fantastic. Visiting Newfoundland, so it's not a moment, it was a whole weekend, but that was a special experience. That goes into my memory banks as one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, to go down there. And that weekend didn't go all that well. You know, Mother Nature didn't cooperate, but it was still amazing. Trayton Lapsevich winning at Ohsweken on the dirt, that exciting last lap, the crowd getting up on their feet. What were we watching not long ago where the crowd just went nuts at the end of it? I said, that's it. That's what you do it for. You can't fake pure joy, reaction from the crowd. So, you know what? And I apologize for this because I'm not very good at remembering specific and calling out a date and a time and a place where I was. But if I see it again, I'll remember, oh yeah, that was pretty badass. So that's on me. That's entirely my fault.
Well, you tend to see a lap or two of racing through the season, so it might be hard to pinpoint an exact.
I don't know. I don't know if that's an excuse though, because lots of people do and they remember everything. I remember the energy an event puts off. I'll tell you what. Yeah. One of my favorite races all year long was the APC race at Peterborough. You know, with all the things that we see, I was just so pumped up to see the crowd that showed up. It was a great race. So it's funny the things you look back on, because there was a ton of fantastic races, right down to Delaware at the end of the year. But things that you pick up on it, you think, yeah, that was really cool, and here's why. The place was full. Happy for JP, the promoter up there, to have that great a show. So lots of moments. And even a bad day at the races is better than a good day most anywhere else.
You said it.
So kind of going back to the Ohsweken on dirt, how big of a deal do you think it was seeing asphalt and dirt collide for the first time in NASCAR?
I think it was huge. You know, that was a big opportunity for Glenn Stiers, for Clinton Jeffrey, for anybody who loves dirt racing to make a first impression. And I do think they knocked it out of the park. All the stars lined up. The weather was ideal. Everything about it made for the perfect event. I don't see how the event could have gone a whole lot better, but I know damn well 2023's event will be a whole lot better.
Definitely.
We spent a good bit of that week there, and watching Clinton running around and Glenn too, like with the track prep and just making sure every conceivable detail is looked after. You can tell they're not the kind of people to rest on their laurels and just let it snow over. I mean, they were hard at ripping the track up right after. Like, there was work being done the day after the Pinty's 100. I mean, they don't mess around that place, do they?
No, they don't. And with a dirt show, especially a dirt show at Ohsweken Speedway with Clinton Jeffrey at the helm, Doug Leonard calling the shots, Glenn Stiers overseeing everything. Once that show starts, it does not stop. It is one thing after another, and you keep banging it off. So you watch these people go absolutely crazy. And then the event comes on, and it's organized chaos for that 3-4 hours, and then shut down and get ready to do it again.
Well, we don't have the schedule yet, but we're going to say that Ohsweken's going to have NASCAR Week's going to have some repeat customers with us anyway. So,
yeah, I think the buzz that came out of that, I think you'll see more campers there. I think you'll see a bigger crowd. Don't know about the car count. If the car count holds its own, that'll be great. But as I say, Clint will find areas to fine tune that event and make it an even better experience for the fans.
Well, thank you for having me. That's all the questions I have. So
We're gonna kick
Yeah.
him out, and he's gonna go help his mother with some more Christmas stuff. And
All right. Say hi to your brother. Merry Christmas.
okay, thank you.
Thanks
Merry
for hanging out.
Christmas, you too.
Thanks, bud.
Well, yes, it's interesting that you say that, Adam, because I'm curious. We did see some interest from outside drivers coming into the race with Kenny Schrader, and Christopher Bell originally was going to be part of it, and Stuart Friesen. It doesn't sound like that might be the only place that will get some attention from possible drivers wanting to make starts in the series next year. I mean, we saw Delaware Speedway we had some names come into that race, like Ray Morneau Jr., who didn't, have a great start to the race, unfortunately, mechanical issue, but add him, add Jake Sheridan, the APC stars that come into this series, like Kyle Steckley as well, they don't come in and run 15. They come in and they're automatically battling in that top 5, that top 10. I was side by side with Graydon and at Delaware Speedway, Jake Sheridan battling. Oh my God, was he fun to watch, because he was not taking whatever anybody was giving him.
Yeah, Jake's driving style is perfect for the NASCAR Pinty series. His energy is perfect. His attitude is perfect. Tony Spiteri has his work cut out for him, but he's got the right vision, because finally, after probably 15 years, finally the NASCAR Pinty series is starting to be a destination that up-and-coming Ontario racers aspire to. It hasn't been for a long time. Has been in Quebec, but in Ontario, they just weren't that into it. Like, there was no real reason, because Cayuga and Delaware weren't the cornerstones of the schedule anymore, but things are starting to come around, and we've got some great young talent, and that's great. Representation from all different parts of the country and from a new generation is exactly what the sport is.
It's true. We talked about this with even just the paint scheme challenge that we put out on the NASCAR Pinty Series Facebook group. Two of the biggest, like, none of the most popular drivers in this series were the ones that were winning it. It was names that Matthew Shirley from out west, Brandon McFarland from Atlanta, Canada, Ray Morneau Jr., who made one start in the series, Aaron Turkey, who made a start at Ohsweken Speedway. I said at the end of this, I want to see all of these guys in this series full time. Can you imagine all of those fan bases getting one of those drivers week in and week out? And that, when you think about the prospect of having these names from all over, it makes it even more attractive than what we've seen in the past couple of seasons. I think we kind of know that the base is Ontario. A lot of the cars, a lot of teams are from there. Quebec's, a lot of the competitors are coming from there, but the talent is all across Canada. And we're starting to really see that come through.
And for a lot of reasons, people know these names now. Aaron Turkey. When would a Ray Morneau fan ever know who Aaron Turkey was, or vice versa, or who Brandon McFarland is? But there's a lot of forces at play that are bringing these groups together. Like you say, you don't even have to have them all race on the same track at the same day. But the fact is, people are interested. They're interested in what's going on at Delaware Speedway, and they're interested in what's going on at Eastbound out in Newfoundland. So the fact that there's this buzz, and a lot of it, the work that you folks are doing, but the work that is happening within the industry, I think we're pretty fortunate that we have the Tony Spiteris and the Luke Ramseys and the Glenn Steyrs and the Canadian Tire with Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's just a good time with a lot of people investing a lot of their energy into our sport.
That one thing, just before Grain, because I think one thing I wanted to touch on was what APC just announced was a 200-lap finale at Delaware Speedway. Now, all of a sudden, I look at that and go, okay, this weekend gets even sweeter now, because it's great as it was. But now all of a sudden, you don't have the short track nationals at Jukasa. But if I'm Matt Shirley, who races late models out in Western Canada, or Brandon McFarland, who races late models, why not make the trip and come and be in an APC series finale race as well? Like, the options there if you're not going to make the investment to come down for one race, all of a sudden now you've got two races, but then there's also crossover appeal for the Saturday and the Sunday, people running both events. And that's perfect prep. 200 laps in the late model event gives you lots of experience. We saw it with DJ Kennington, Brandon Watson, Trayton Lapsovich, Kyle Steckley, Ray Morneau all ran the APC race before it. So all of a sudden, when you talk about this weekend and it's like, oh my God, the excitement is already building for the fall brawl. That's exactly what we wanted to see, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I love what they're doing. They've gotten outside the box to create some longer races, try to create some different storylines. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I hope, and this is up to Luke Ramsey and Alex Nake, I hope the payouts are going to increase accordingly to cover the cost of the extra rubber and the extra fuel for these teams. But I trust that it will. And just the fact that they're making these bigger events, it's all part of an overall package where, whether you like it or not, racing is very expensive, right? And the business model has been changed for a long time. So if they can start to bring in some different type of marketing money to the APC series for these drivers and give them some flagship races to hang their hats on and promote, and the money finds its way to these race teams that really need it, I think that's a great thing.
And I think it, to kind of what Owen spoke to earlier, where we were talking about asphalt and dirt worlds colliding, it can kind of happen at the same track on the same surface where you have your APC. So we know there's kind of the APC club and the NASCAR crowd type thing, but you can pick your poison there. But I think we've seen, as true with even the Speed Fest at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the combo platter, if you will, of all the different racing disciplines that bring all the different fandoms together makes for a hell of a good party.
And you're absolutely right, and delivers an awful lot more value to whoever's getting involved, the vendors, the sponsors, the fans. Everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is one of the things that I think we've talked about in the past, is that for years it's kind of been that you went to a Pinty's race and that was what you got, was the Pinty series, and that was it. Well, we kind of realized that's not what people want. They want bang for their buck, right? That's the reality.
Ticket value.
Exactly.
It was always an Ontario short track formula. When we go west, there's support classes. When we go east, there's support classes. When we go to road courses, the days are full of racing. And I think a lot of promoters have missed out on being able to run their local drivers. You're putting eyeballs on your product that don't come every week. For goodness sake, at least show them what's going to be there next Saturday after the Pinty series leaves.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the things, is that I go back and I talk about why I talk about the Ontario Sportsman Series so much, is because that's what I saw years ago with CASCAR. Was they had, I think it was Thunder Cars, Midgets, and the Ontario Sportsman Series when it was CASCAR at Peterborough. You saw like 6 races in one night. It was amazing, right? Yeah. And now all of a sudden, if you go and you spend that more money, but you see one race, it's kind of like, right? I could have missed this. But when you have all that other value, and you get to see those, and you talked about it. I mean, we were at Delaware Speedway. Was there anybody louder than Ray Morneau's fans in the Pinty's race? Like literally the entire left side of the grandstand was from Windsor. It was completely huge.
You can't buy that support. You can't rent it. You can't fabricate it. It's natural. And such a great kid, such a great racing family. I couldn't be happier for them. But it makes me wonder sometimes. He is a great kid. So is Jake Sheridan. Jake Sheridan's a great kid too. He doesn't get the pop that Ray Morneau gets. Like, you can go down the lines of all these people. Like, what makes this one different than that one? And that's the magic formula in racing.
It's so hard. It's so hard to figure out, because at the same time, with Braden, we talk about this all the time, right? And I'd love to see this company with this driver. Love to see this company with this driver. And you're just going, what is it about this person that they can keep a sponsor for 30 years and you don't see them do any sort of promotional stuff at all? And then you got a guy who's on social media, who's posting all the time, and they can't get anybody.
Mhm.
It's frustrating.
It's a different world, right? And J.R. Fitzpatrick recently has done a very good job of explaining how he does not fit in that culture. He doesn't fit in very well to the corporate culture, which he recognizes. Good for him. He does what he is able to do, what he can comfortably afford to do, or at least justify. And he doesn't do things that we would like to see. I'd love to see him on the Pinty's tour again. But it's not in the cards for him right now because he does not thrive in that boardroom setting. I'm not saying he couldn't. He could. He's a good guy. He understands the business side of the sport. He understands, sometimes there's a white hat, sometimes there's a black hat. He doesn't mind wearing either of them. So he's great for business. And you never know what's going to come down the road. But it is a different animal. These business deals, it's disappointing to me that racing has become such an elite sport. For such a blue collar entertainment, it's unattainable for most people. I still love it. I don't want to drag it down in any way. I just wish it was more realistic for a young person with passion to do it. Yeah.
I mean, perfect example, Graydon, right? You experienced it last year. I mean, and you weren't at the highest level.
No, not even close. I mean, it's so true. I mean, and that's, I think, why the minimal or like the limited starts that I do have, and any one that I get from here on out, I will hold on to with both hands and remember it for as long as humanly possible, because it as you said, it's become kind of an elitist type sport, and it's a shame that it is the case. And I mean, it's kind of partly why we all sort of exist. I mean, we're trying to make this a better place and attract people to come and try their luck at racing, like come and invest in it and see where your dollar goes. And like Kyle's talked to us, right, Cam, about like all the education that you can get as a competitor, never mind a fan or a sponsor. Like, you got to be an economist, you got to be a mechanic, a fabricator. I mean, there's nothing that racing doesn't offer somebody.
I never grew up dreaming of being a race announcer. Never. Not once. Yet here I am, and I love it. I've created a new dream as I've gone. I dreamed of being a race car driver. That was my path. That was what kept me up at night.
It's just the way things go, right? And you fall into things, and it's funny how, I mean, we've talked about the racing scene. I think we really felt that the pandemic would really hurt it, and I think we've seen that. I mean, this year I feel still that it's still going to be. We're still going to be iffy here. I mean, inflation is still going to happen. Costs of stuff is still going up. But you know what? The amount of buzz, like you had mentioned, Adam, is still very, very huge. And the fact is that there's so many amazing racing series across Canada that, I mean, we've got RS1 all the way out in BC. They're gearing up once again. Pinty's is gearing up once again. You've got Outlaw Midgets. We've gotten to be able to learn all about this. And one thing that you guys really preached to us when we first started the podcast 2 years ago was you've got to go grassroots. Like, you've got to learn these people that literally spend every last dollar on their race cars. And some of the most amazing people we have met have been in motorsports. Is it the fact that a lot of these guys and gals tell me, I don't know how to run a social media page, I don't know how to run Facebook, I know how to wrench cars, but I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And that's where maybe that, as you talked about, that corporate world there's that gap, is that we need people to kind of help bridge it, like make those connections possible. Yeah.
100%. I'm very proud of the work that we've done with GeForce TV. I think that is a bridge.
Yes.
Right. I think we're doing something that we really love to do, but we're also providing a vehicle for these race teams to use to help promote. So it's win-win. And we're not alone. There's a lot of people doing similar things. The work that you guys do, the work that Greg McPherson has done for decades, right, in the media. So there are all these things that are all lifelines to the sport.
Mm-hmm.
That if it helps someone pick themselves up, or if it helps someone elevate their program a little bit, far out, man. That's fantastic. Because we're getting a lot out of it too, right? And I don't mean financially. I just mean we're building something that we can be really proud of, and taking part in events that we're excited to be a part of, and it just makes the machine a little bit bigger. It makes that snowball roll and grow and grow, and it's just good. It's all positive momentum.
That's exactly it. And with the addition of G-Force and these other avenues of taking in racing content, correct me if I'm wrong, but these last couple of off seasons, I mean, we're biased because we're involved in it now. And we get to bring people on to talk about it, but the feeling, I mean, that we're already feeling in this off season's better than last, but like these last couple of off seasons feel like they're much more full of optimism. There was a time like when the lights went out at Kawartha and then eventually Jukasa, and now when the lights shut out at Delaware and the Pinty series is done, which is something that, I mean, you know, we beat the drum of the Pinty series for a long time exclusively. And once that season, the lights went out on it, it all went dark. And then there was no talk, no buzz, no nothing for long time.
Yeah.
I mean, It's the long off season in the sense that we're not seeing stuff on track. But now that we have all these ways to talk about it and talk about all these names and engage with them, these off seasons seem a lot shorter and a lot better, right?
And that's a huge goal. That's TJ Martin's goal with Valhalla and the Resi 500 event is to keep things going year round, keep the family together. Because you don't know what's going to happen if you were to let things fall. And for Rush Weekend, the third week of September, if you were to just close the gates and not keep in contact with anybody, just open up the following spring, every year you're going to lose a little bit more. You'll try to gain while the season is going, but you are going to lose because our off season is 8 freaking months long.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep people engaged the best you can, and this does that. Like a number of things do that. So.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing, right? Is you're trying to keep it going while it's not going, and it's always going to be an uphill battle, right? I mean, we've talked about that. No matter where you go.
Yes and no. It's a battle, but if we, the collective we, keep on doing the things that we're doing. I mean, we're already halfway through December.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're what, 9 weeks from the Daytona 500? So is it an uphill battle? It's different than it was, but it's great to be able to keep in touch with these people, to be able to watch interviews. Hey, I didn't know DJ Kennington even was alive in December. I thought he hibernates in October and comes back out in April, and we go racing, right? So the things that are happening to shorten the off season is bringing us all closer together, keeping connections. And I think there will come a time where we don't have to look at it as, oh, this is such a challenge. We'll look at it as, man, I'm so excited because January means this is going to happen. Whenever the Motorama show is going to go on. So I missed, this is way before your time, but there used to be TQ midget races 3 times every winter in the Niagara Falls Convention Center.
Wow.
And let me tell you, there's a number of us who relied on those dates to keep us alive. They were the most fun. Get the racing communities from Western New York, Central New York, Ontario down there to watch midgets and suck in.
Cool.
I'm sure it took years off our lives. But they were such critical, pivotal weekends in the off season because people knew you could get together with your family. You could see the people you wanted to see.
You're just sucking those fumes and getting your fix, eh? Like, oh yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. So I raced go-karts in there. It's a concrete oval, the most dangerous racetrack you've ever seen. And I was not very good. So I would qualify 20th. We're racing Briggs powered carts, methanol burning engine.
Oh man.
Jesus.
So there's 2 laps to go in the race before. Okay, boys, fire them up. We all start these engines. I'm 20th, so I'm breathing the fumes from 19 engines right in front of me. There's blood coming out of my eyes. It's horrible fumes. So you'd have to have your visor open for a couple of pace laps just to get the nastiness out of your helmet that was in there.
Oh man.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
like
great.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
I love it, right? It's like tear gas, but it was friggin' awesome.
That's like you say.
And those were events that talk about bringing people together. There were super modified racers, late model racers from both sides of the border. Even the people we raced karts with, Bob Slack had his entry, so Brett Stratford would have been racing. Trying to think of names, but they're all before your time. But it was all people that you could watch what they do in the outdoor seasons and think, yeah, I raced with them all winter long. Nice to see them winning down at Oswego or down at Spencer or at Merrittville, wherever the case might be.
So the question is posed, Adam, and it's been posed a bit because people were seeing that the Euro Series is going to do it.
Oh, you beat me to it.
I knew you're gonna ask. So, ice, snow racing, ever a possibility? Do we think here for the Pinty Series? I know it might be a little far fetched, but maybe.
Is it?
Anything is possible, boys. Let's be clear. If there's value in doing it, but I say go talk to some of these drivers. They're all doing it with their crews with a bunch of junkyard cars they've got anyhow. So just because the TV cameras aren't rolling doesn't mean it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible. There are some key demographics that are iced in throughout the winter. I mean, Canada's a great country. We've got lots of ice to choose from.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, you can't
Even a
beat
little
when you're
winter-
enjoying it.
Winter Invitational, right?
Exactly. I can't see the teams being thrilled about it, but the fiberglass makers will be.
Yeah, that stuff will snap good in the cold.
Although, Adam, we thought that would be the case at Ohsweken, and people were pretty well, for the most part, on their best behavior. Like, we didn't go up and pull a trucks at Knoxville. Like,
No.
I was literally expecting they were all going to go in turn one. Somebody was going to spin. We're all going to all wad them up, and that didn't happen.
Mark my words. Ohsweken is a unicorn of dirt track. So when we go to a different venue, hypothetically speaking, do not expect
It's
the same outcome, the same style of racing. I'm saying buckle up, get a sippy cup for your beer, because there might be a little more dirt in it.
It was. We've already kind of put that out because the press release was already put out in Quebec, so we do know where they're headed. I don't know that track very well, but based off some of the racing, it looks quite fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fans are going to have a blast.
Go.
They are high energy venues. The fans love it. I'm all for it. I mean,
yeah.
There again, it goes back to my point where I wish, and on our Rivals Race Chat show, Clinton and I were actually just talking. We want to hit some topics that people don't always think about. It should be the more races you run, the more potential you have to make money. It is the opposite of that.
Yes.
The more races you run, the greater the expense, the more money you have to find from an outside source. So where you might say, well, why don't we run 20 races? Why don't we run 30 races? People can't sustain that. You got to find. So I'd love to have all these races. I wish there was a formula where more and more money could come in to support these teams, because we will never run out of ideas. You'll never run out of something new you could do with a race car.
Run into a Walmart parking lot. There you go.
Yep.
That's the way it would be done. I mean, I think that the avenues. There's a lot of tracks. I mean, we haven't even considered out there that still exist. I mean, we're not even touching BC yet, and the folks in RS1 have got that beautiful Area 27 racetrack. and they've got the newly rebuilt or not rebuilt, but repaved Penticton Speedway. So like there are options out there all over, but I think even places that may have been forgotten about. I think we think about the Peterboroughs and the Flamborough. I would love to see this series come back and run Peterborough Speedway. It takes me back to seeing it as a kid, right? And it's one of those things, right? The racing bug doesn't die. It does not. I mean, we tried, man. We tried to get rid of it for a couple of years, and it's come back, and it's come back worse. I mean, we're suffering from the racing addiction, but I don't think this is one we want to get rid of. So, Adam, we always love having you on the show. It is always a blast getting to talk with you, and all of your advice and help with us over the past 2 years has been absolutely crazy. This is episode 95 of the show.
Isn't that wild? Congratulations.
Isn't that crazy?
That's very cool.
And you were one of the names that we first talked to way back. And when I first met you, I was petrified first off to talk to you because I didn't. It was Adam Ross. It was Adam Ross. Oh my God! And it was in Toronto, and you took the time to talk, even though you were walking. You were busy. You had to call the practice, I think it was, and but you took time, and now look at us. Now you're stuck with us. So.
Now I got to book my time with you. I can't even come up and have a conversation. We got to be penciled in for it to happen. But no, it's great. It's awesome. You guys are doing fabulous work, and you're being recognized for it as well, which is so rewarding. You know, people see it, they feel it. You bring the passion, and that's number one. It's the number one ingredient. Everything else will fall into place if you have your mindset to it, and you guys obviously have, and you've done a great thing. I've had people message me, hey, who's going to win this best appearing car vote? And I have to kind of pretend that I'm up to speed on who won the last round and although I did love Matthew Shirley's car was the best looking car all year long. I love the look of that car, but so many things happen that I disconnect from when the season ends. I intentionally take a good 2 steps back and just live. Do we have time for any stories, or are we saying goodbye?
Go.
So I got invited to a Facebook group that is for racing announcers. And there's some high profile people on there. Dave Moody is one of them, and there's a number of others. People introduce themselves, where they got their start. It's very interesting. But they pose questions a fair bit, how do you mold your style, or what do you listen to? But the one thing was, how do you keep your skills sharp in the off season? And I'm reading about people who do fictitious lineups on their way to work. They'll be driving in their car doing these lineups, or other people that watch that. And I think it's awesome. I don't do anything. I feel so bad reading this stuff. And you know what? I try. My voice is twice as strong as it was in September. That's what I do in the off season. I try to not shout anymore, so that I have something to work with in the spring. I'm a huge fan. Like I paid for the Snowball Derby because I wanted to watch it. Connor wanted to watch it, so I do watch and you take in what other people do, but. No, I can't say I spend a lot of time fake announcing on my way to work, or you'll run things through your head. But the reason I bring that story up is to look at how these people try to mold themselves, to try to improve themselves. And we should always be striving to do a little bit better. But the sport is in good hands as long as there's all these people. Don't get me wrong, I'm still as passionate as I ever was. I just make that choice to take that step back. So when I hit it in the spring, this is exciting. Let's do this. But in the winter, very shortly, I'm going away with the family. We're going south somewhere tropical.
Nice.
We'll unplug for a week and a half and enjoy each other, and not. There will barely be a mention of race cars unless Connor brings something up. But I know that Devin or Angie won't. So all good.
Well, 2022 was awesome, packed full of great moments for us, for sure. Getting to spend some time. I don't know if you arrived on a final name, but the Dutch oven was my experience up there in the booth was pretty fun. Getting to walk a mile in your shoes and see how you guys call the races was super fun. And again, yeah, we just we're looking to build on this for 2023, and we thank you for your time and helping us out in any which way you can, man. And it's just really appreciated.
Thank you for doing your part. I mean, you have found your part and you have excelled at it. I felt badly when you came up into the tower because we are so boring. Like we're so.
I was having a blast.
Oh yeah, we do. We do have a good time, but quite often when the mic goes off or when we go to a commercial break, and some of them are a little longer than others, we sort of shut down. You know, there'll be a smart ass crack passing along between Greg and I if something strikes us funny. Otherwise, it might be dead silent until the lights come back on and it's time to go again. But no, it's we're an open book. Come in and enjoy, and hopefully you got to do that at other venues as well to see how different people run their show. And you sort of pick and choose. It's like an a la carte menu, right? You pick and choose what you like from this, what you like from that, and that's how you deliver your product.
Exactly.
Oh man, well, we got so much still to look forward to in 2023. We ain't going anywhere. Adam Ross isn't going anywhere, but that is going to be it for now. I want to thank Adam for joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Episode 95 is officially in the books. We will catch you all next week.